This video, I'm going to be covering what has to be the most highly requested piece of content that I have seen from my community, from my comments, and from direct messages. In this video, we're going to be covering how to make more money in less time using virtual assistants to handle all of your fulfillment. As always, I'm going to share my screen, and if you want a copy of this free resource, all you have to do is check the pinned post on my Facebook or Instagram page. The handle is at Alec J Roy, AlecJRoy, and you'll get it for free. I don't need your email. You don't have to pay for it. You don't have to give me your phone number. There's no sacrificing your firstborn child. I don't need your social security number or blood type. It is super pain-free. Go check it out. 100% free. The idea is that by the end of this training, you will fully understand how to use virtual assistants to fulfill all of your client work for you. And for context, in this training, I'm going to be covering the exact process that I used to hit $21,104.10 within 7 months of hitting my agency. I did this in a single month within just 7 months of having started. And in that month, I had profit margins of 92.1%. My only expenses were a GHL sub account, VA fees, and then Zoom, some domain fees, some G Suite spaces or G drives, however you want to refer to it. And then I think there's maybe a few other miscellaneous costs. For context, here's a screenshot of my Stripe to show that I relatively know what I'm talking about. For context, for additional context, you can fake a Stripe screenshot. And additionally, this is not that much money, okay? For me, at the time, this was a life-changing amount of money. I made over half my salary in a single month within just 2 hours of work a day, by the way, because all of the VAs were handling the work for me. So for me, this was a lot of money. And for a lot of people, it's a lot of money. For some people, it's not a lot of money. So take what I'm telling you with a grain of salt. If you're doing better than I'm doing a little bit better than this now, but if you're doing better than I'm doing, by all means, I wish you the best. Keep going. For those of you who are stuck, hopefully this will help take you a little bit further. Now, when I realized that this was working for me and my agency, I was able to pivot and I was able to start doing this for others in their agency. And this is a screenshot a client sent to me in my one-on-one program. After the first month, just 1 month of working with me in my one-on-one program, they were stuck at about $2,100 a month for about 8 to 9 months. As soon as they joined the program, within the first 30 days, which by the way, 2.5 weeks of that first 30 days was just getting the business restructured. Then it was actually generating sales. We still hit over 10K in month 1. Now, that wasn't because we had VAs on standby. It was because we had the time to sell more, market more, craft better offers. But we only had that time because we handed the work off to VAs and we were able to focus on things that only the business owners and myself could do. So safe to say that after 3.5 years, I think that I've relatively mastered how to use virtual assistants to scale businesses. And in this training, the idea is that I will show you how to do the exact same thing without paying me a penny. And additionally, I'll even go a step further. By the end of the training, I'll even show you how to bring VAs on without paying a penny out of your own pocket. Now, if you followed the 10-step $0 client acquisition course, then you've probably already started to see some calls, some sales calls, and you've probably even closed some by now. If you have no idea what the course is, I'll link it right here. All you got to do is click on it, pop it open, and you will see a folder with 10 courses. At the top of the courses, when you pop them open, there'll be a YouTube video so you can watch it. Throw me in 1.5 or 2x speed. Make me talk a little faster so I'm not wasting your day. Do the same thing with this video, by the way. But once you actually start selling, you need to now give the client what they paid for. You actually have to give that to them. I know, shocker, right? Here's the catch. There's only so many hours in the day, which means if you get stuck fulfilling client work, that means you're losing time that could be spent getting more clients, or you're just not enjoying the paycheck you just earned, right? So you're losing that work-life balance. This is known as the feast or famine cycle. Agency owners get stuck either closing clients and bringing in money, or fulfilling the client work and not bringing in money. That's where that inconsistent income starts taking place or starts happening, right? Now, of course, fulfillment is necessary to provide the client with what they paid for. Otherwise, you're just straight up committing fraud, right? You're scamming people. Hey, I'll do this for you, and then you don't do it for them. So you still have to fulfill, right? But marketing and sales are necessary to generate cash. So the challenge becomes, how can we consistently generate cash and consistently fulfill at the same time, knowing we have a limited number of hours in the day? What a phenomenal question. I'm so glad you asked that. That is where virtual assistants come into play. And when I say VAs, I'm referring to virtual assistants. These are people who work anywhere in the world. It could be stateside, it could be overseas, anywhere. They are experts at what they do. I'm going to show you how to find them, hire them, fire them, manage them, all that stuff. You may see me reference to virtual assistants as VAs for short, or even contractors. It's all the same thing in case you see me jump between different words, or in case you see someone else reference them different ways, right? Now, VAs are virtual assistants that are cost efficient, meaning affordable, subject matter experts that you can hire on a project by project basis. This is huge because usually if I have to hire somebody as a W-2, or if I have to hire somebody long term on a monthly basis in a salary or even hourly position, what you'll see is that, especially if you're in the United States, you're going to have certain obligations when it comes to employment. When you hire on a project by project basis and you hire them for one project and that's it, once they're done, that from there ceases your obligations because you've paid them for the work. It's a lot easier because your overhead is a lot less. So using virtual assistants, when you're using them in general, VAs, contractors, virtual assistants, however you want to refer to them, it allows you to focus on the tasks that require your attention while handing tasks off to smarter people that are not you and letting them easily do the work. VAs help your business increase or improve in cost-effective expertise, in efficiency, and in scalability so you can focus on growth while enjoying a much better work-life balance. This is exactly what I was explaining above with that client that we did in just the first month. So in this training, we're going to cover how to hire, fire, and manage VAs, as well as how to price your packages so that you never have to pay for a VA out of pocket. But first, let's understand why VAs are so important and probably 1,000 times better than whatever you're doing now. So let's look at doing the work yourself versus using VAs. So there may be some of you now who think I can do all the work for myself. This is who I'm speaking to, okay? Most of you watching the video, you probably understand I don't want to do this myself, but there's some of you who are a little bit stubborn. That's fine. When it comes to being stubborn, I think I lead the pack. If you have a digital agency now, then odds are that you are doing everything yourself, whether you want to or not, whether you are intelligent, or let me say not intelligent, but whether you're good with fulfillment or not, okay? From the content and the copy to the sales calls, onboarding, and all the fulfillment as well. This can work in the beginning because in the beginning, you have such low volume that you can handle everything, right? But it can't work for long. And if you don't believe me, I challenge you to go find a successful agency doing really good numbers where they do not have a team at all. I'll wait. While most people understand that they need a team, the moment it comes time for them to acknowledge that they need to hire a team for themselves, they freeze. They lock up, they shut down, whatever expression you want to use, they go blank, okay? Why? It's simple. After coaching hundreds of agencies, this is what I found. You started your agency. You were there for its first client, its first steps, its first website, its first funnel, the first time it lied to you about underage drinking, right? Not me, but maybe some of you. Just like an overprotective mom, if you're constantly sheltering your baby, then the only thing that you will ever succeed in is stunting its growth. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to do it for your agency's sake because it'll never grow. It'll never be independent of you. And we don't want to do that for your sake because it's going to put a strain on your mental, financial, and emotional bandwidth, okay? All of those energy stores, all of that capability is going to be depleted instantly. How can we bring in VAs without losing quality or without losing your peace of mind, right? And to answer this question, I have to ask you a question. How confident are you with fulfillment? And there's only two ways that you can truly answer this, right? It's pretty binary. You're either A, or one, great with fulfillment, or you are B, not great with fulfillment. That's it. You're either good or you suck. And if you don't understand where you lie on that, you probably lean more towards the you suck with fulfillment, okay? And that's fine. That's where I was. And trust me, regardless of how you answer that, I'm great or I'm not great, I have seen both types of agencies fail to scale because they refuse to let their baby go into the real world. They refuse to let a babysitter watch the baby, a fulfillment individual help with fulfillment, a manager help with management. They refuse to let these people step into the business and give them the help they need, right? Nobody would ever doubt a mother. I mean, my wife and I just had our child. She's about 19 months as I'm making this video. When my wife first gave birth, we had family come in and help us out. Can you imagine if we were like, no, nobody help out my wife. She'll do it all by herself. I would look crazy. I'd be like worst husband ever, right? And her having given birth, she would say, hey, I need help. I'm tired. I just went through this like really physically traumatic experience, right? It's the same thing with the agency. You cannot be the only person attending this agency, attending the baby's needs. It's all about the support system. So you need to use these things. So how do we combat this effect? How do we combat this refusal to scale because they refuse to let anybody help them out? Because again, we want the agency, just like you want a baby, to grow to be big and strong, right? So let's say you're great with fulfillment. Now what? Well, technically speaking, this is going to go much easier for you. But mentally speaking, this is going to be much more difficult for you. You see, if you have the technical skills, then the next time you have a client, just make sure you document your entire process as you go, and this will help you create your first SOP. And I'll have more content on how to create an SOP as we go. SOP, by the way, refers to a standard operating procedure, which basically refers to the directions on how you do something, the way you do things, the order of tasks you do, right? So step 1, do this, step 2, do that, right? Very, very simple. Since you can fulfill without outsourcing because you're more tech savvy with fulfillment, you can land clients faster because you can drop your price as low as you need to in order to close. Doing this allows you to close faster, which means you can start delivering faster, which means you can start gathering a case study faster, which means you can start landing clients without negotiating on pricing much, much faster. So again, starting out, it's going to be a little bit easier. Now, once you have a single case study, you need to require a setup fee, which will cover your VA's fees, okay? And I'm going to explain why you need to do that even if you are good with fulfillment. Now, the number one issue that I see with technically advanced clients is that they assume absolute advantage and they forget about comparative advantage. Sometimes they conflate the two, and I'm going to explain what I mean by that if you have no idea what those words mean. Perfectly fine. To summarize it in a single sentence, just because you can do everything really well doesn't mean you should, okay? Example, let's imagine that you and your friend run a small business together. You both handle 2 main tasks, creating marketing content and providing customer support. So basically, bringing clients in and making sure they stay, right? Absolute advantage. Let's say you can create 10 marketing content pieces in a day. Your VA or your friend can handle 5 marketing content pieces in a day. You can handle 20 customer support calls in a day. Your friend can handle 15 customer support calls in a day. So you see, you're at 10 and 20 versus their 5 and 15. Now, you can also make business decisions as a leader, and your VA cannot make any business decisions. In this scenario, you have an absolute advantage in both tasks, in making marketing content and in customer support calls, because you can do more in both, right? Again, because you produce more content and you can handle more calls. And you're doing that absolute advantage. So the absolute advantage says you are better overall than the other individual, your friend, your VA, right? Now, if we look at comparative advantage, to determine comparative advantage, we want to look at the opportunity cost for each task. The opportunity cost refers to what you are giving up to do something instead, right? So for example, if you go to buy ice cream and you're saying, I want chocolate, the opportunity cost that you gave up was vanilla. Was that a good deal for you or not, right? I'm going to show you how this applies to marketing. For you, creating one piece of marketing content costs you the opportunity to handle 2 customer support calls because again, since you can create 10 pieces or handle 20 calls a day. So when you do 1-to-2 ratio, every time you make one piece of content, you are giving up the opportunity to handle 20 calls or rather 2 calls a day. For your VA, creating one piece of marketing content costs them the opportunity to handle 3 customer support calls because they can create 5 pieces or handle 15 calls a day. When we factor in the responsibilities that only you can do, your opportunity costs increase dramatically because now no one is growing the business since you are not smart with your time at all. This means that you have a lower opportunity cost for creating marketing content, and your friend or your VA has a lower opportunity cost for handling customer support, right? So think about this. When you handle one piece of content, you're giving up 2 calls. When they handle a piece of content, they're giving up 3 calls. So they're giving up more. These are things that could hurt the business. But again, we have not factored in the responsibilities that only you can do. So let's look at the results. You should focus on growing your business because you are the only one who can do it. It's just you. Even if you can fulfill tasks faster, because there's a lower opportunity cost. When you decide to fulfill tasks, you are giving up the opportunity to grow your business. When your VA focuses on providing customer support and handling fulfillment, they essentially are not doing as well as you are, but they have a lower opportunity cost because if they are handling that, they're not giving up running the business because they can't do it anyway. So the Obvious answer, even though you might be better. And typically when you hire a subject matter expert, here's some bad news. You're not. But even if you were, we are seeing the opportunity cost indicates that you still need to go to that task. And again, there's one of you. I can hire multiple VAs, as you will see in an example. And even if they are less efficient than me, I can hire multiple and I can get more hours in the day that way. But by each of you focusing on what you do most efficiently, you maximize productivity and you make the best use of your time and skills. Why does this matter? Because again, there's some of you that are still stubborn when it comes to this. The issue is that the most technically advanced agency owners have, or the one that they have, is that they get so hung up on the details that they think it's faster if they do it themselves. And guess what? They might be right. As we saw in the example, it's faster if you handle the 10 content versus their 5 and the 20 calls versus their 15. You might be right, but it's not about doing the most amount in the least amount of time. It's not about 30 minutes versus 45 minutes or 30 minutes versus 2 hours. It's about you focusing on doing what only you can do, which is growing the business without losing quality. And frankly, you can't do that if you are so busy micromanaging every single little task. And I'll give you a number where we start looking at this at scale. Let's say that you can close 40% of all sales calls and you can handle 3 calls a day because again, you want to do everything yourself. So you're making the content yourself, you're having the sales conversations yourself, you are handling fulfillment yourself. So you can only take 3 calls a day because again, you have other tasks. On the other hand, you could hire 3 remote high ticket closers who can close only 30%. 30% is 10% worse than you. But there's 3 of them and they can handle 8 calls a day. Let's look at the difference, right? Because maybe it's not much of a difference. Let's look at the difference. You're closing 40% at 3 calls a day at 5 days a week. You can close 6 calls a week. Your VAs, if there's just one of them, 30% close rate at 8 calls a day at 5 days a week is doubling your top line revenue. That is insane. But let's say you have a whole team of VAs. Now you're doing 24 calls a day, 5 days a week, 36 sales. You are now 6xing your top line revenue, even if they're less efficient than you. And again, if you are hiring people who are subject matter experts, they're going to be better than you are. Not to mention, when you give the work to them, you're not just giving them the whole work. You're not just saying, here you go, take it. I don't want to see any of it. No, you can mandate, and I recommend this, having quality checks to ensure the work that meets your expectations, and it ensures that they're meeting standards before you pass it off to the client. Now, again, this is all up to you how you want to do it, but the numbers are very clear. The opportunity cost is very clear. This is economics 101. Hiring contractors allows you to focus on only what you can do. You should be doing only what you can do, right? This way, the agency can grow and succeed more than if you try to do everything yourself. I can't tell you how many people I know that are some of the smartest people ever, and they refuse to let go. And because they refuse to let go, because they think they're so smart, when really they're just picky, micromanaging, because they think that way, their business doesn't scale. Meanwhile, you have people who are substantially less intelligent. If you have a conversation with me, I don't think I'm dumb, but I'm definitely not the brightest, okay? I was infantry in the military, so take from that what you want. But I know people who are so much smarter than me, and I'm making more money than them because I understand this concept. So it's not about being, it's not about having a high IQ. It's just about being, a little bit more wise, a little bit more intelligent with your time, a little bit more careful with what you're doing, right? Aware, cognizant, disciplined, whatever verb you want to use. It's just about being more aware of where your time is going and working towards things that only you can work towards while letting other tasks go to people who can do them, right? And again, this is how understanding opportunity costs help you make smarter decisions, even if you might not be the smartest, okay? And even though this is a conversation that you'd have in Econ 101, so many of you so-called agency owners still haven't grasped this. And again, it's not because you don't understand it. It's because you're so stubborn. So when I show people these illustrations, usually from there, the reality kind of sets in at how much they're hurting their own business. And again, this is why we hire SMEs, subject matter experts. These are people who are typically very intelligent, and usually they have not only a comparative advantage because they're not giving up other things, but they also typically have an absolute advantage over you. Now, let's say you have little to no technical skills. This is how little old Alec started out. Let's say you suck with fulfillment. Now what? Well, technically speaking, it's harder because you can't negotiate all the way down to 0 to close. However, mentally speaking, it's easier because if you're not good with fulfillment, you shouldn't be trying to learn now. For those of you who think, oh, new concept just came out, I'll go ahead and learn it. By the time you finish learning it, you've got professionals who are miles ahead of you, and sometimes the algorithms change, there's updates, and everything you just learned becomes obsolete. So you're just always playing catch up. Maybe you're not even technically minded. That's perfectly fine. I know people who are not technically minded at all. They're great at selling, nothing else, and they're doing substantially better than the people who want to learn everything. Now, because you don't have the technical skills, you do not have to worry about micromanaging every little detail. So again, as those results start coming in, it's a lot easier to let go. You'll be able to sell, hand the work off to a VA, make sure it looks good, then hand it over to the client. Now, the two pitfalls to be aware of are the following. Number one, you need to make sure that you're covering your VA's fees. You're not doing that out of pocket. Number two, you need to understand how to communicate scope. That's the biggest pitfall by far. So let's cover those one by one. To cover your VA's fees, you need to understand the scope of the project so that you can truly understand how to put together a series of deliverables that you want. You need to understand what the client wants in depth so you can translate that to the virtual assistant. Because the client may say, hey, I want a website, but you can't just go to the VA and say, hey, they want a website. You need to say they want a website with this branding, and here's their logos, and here's those pictures, and they want this many pages, and they want this page, and this page, and this page, and this page, and this section, right? There's way more that goes into it. And again, I'll cover that in just a moment. But once you have an understanding of how much the scope is of the project, you can get quotes. Once you get a quote, you can take that quote. So let's say a VA says it's $300, and you can multiply that times 3 to 5, and that will basically give you your setup fee. So if someone says it's $300, that means your setup fee should be between $900 and $1,500. That's the easiest way to start out, okay? Now, the reason that we, at the bare minimum, should be 3xing or tripling the VA's setup fee is because not only will you need to manage them, but you also need to make sure that if additional scope comes into play, you have some financial room or wiggle room to work with. Now, as you go down the line, you'll understand how to better translate scope so that way you're not having to change the scope or pay more to a VA. The reason I'm saying that is because in the beginning, the VA may not understand the directions because you didn't give them properly, and so the quote might be off there. Not that the client didn't tell you properly, just that you are a little bit newer to it. So you don't want to go to the client and be like, oh, I'm charging you more even though you thought you already paid for that and I just didn't communicate poorly. You've got to or you've got to rather adapt and handle that change in scope that was due to your fault, okay? So again, that's why the 3x, their setup fee at the minimum, up to 5x when you're starting out. It gives you some wiggle room so that way you can be a little graceful with yourself and with your VAs. Now, how do we find VAs? This is a great question. So let's cover how to hire and fire VAs. Starting out, there's only 3 places that you should be going to find VAs, okay? 1 is Fiverr, 2 is Upwork, and 3 is the directory listing for high level. So let's look at what these are, okay? So let's go to Fiverr. Fiverr, what you do, I love this. If you hover over these, look at this. You can see all the services that these people offer. There's so many services that they can do for you. If you don't see something, you would just go here. You can see I already typed it in. I just type in GHL, right? For anybody thinking it's high level, it's not, go high level. Congratulations. I'll send you a sticker in the mail. But type in GHL, type in high level, it'll still pop up, right? Look at all this, all these people. And again, we'll come back and I'll show you how to get quotes. And you can see the pricing. If you pop up someone's account, you can see base, standard, premium, and you can DM them directly and get exact quotes. So Fiverr is really cool because you can find people and then speak with them about the scope of the work. If we go to Upwork, not only can you browse and buy like we just did on Fiverr, you can get advice, you can get these consultation calls, and you could even post a job and hire a pro. So these two are very similar in that they're both directory managements. I'll show you in just a moment, and they have an escrow payment, or they use escrow payments. So I'll show you what that means too. Then you can also use directory.gohello.com. This is I believe it's the list of the official certified VAs or professionals with GHL. So if I scroll down, you can see all the different VAs. It looks like most of them are on LinkedIn. You can segment by languages spoken, skills, availability, credentials. That's really cool if you want somebody that you know is professional. If you're migrating from one platform to another, or even by niche. So this is really cool too. But I don't believe that you can use, like, there's no payment options through this platform, right? So what I'd recommend, and you'll see I'll cover in just a moment, is just ask them if they have a Fiverr or Upwork, go that way. And again, Fiverr and Upwork both work as a directory listing, which means you can find people. A project management, it's a very weak project management tool, but essentially when you go to hire them, You can provide the full scope and they can update you there. So you can kind of overview the project. Again, it's not the best, but it's definitely better than nothing. And an escrow payment portal. Now, this means that you can find VAs, you can assign them the work, and you can ensure that the VA can't run off with your payment. That also means that VAs are protected from agency owners that like screwing their VAs over. And I see a lot of people who do that. It's beyond disgusting. So if you don't know what an escrow payment is, here's how it works, right? You don't pay the VA. What happens is you pay Fiverr or you pay Upwork. Upwork or Fiverr holds the money for you, okay? As they're holding the money for you, the entire project is going on in the back end. So again, you pay Fiverr, you pay Upwork. The VA is doing the work. Once the VA says, hey, I'm done, can you look over it? And you approve it, then the VA says, my work is done. You approve the project, and then Fiverr or Upwork releases the funds to that individual. So that means that if you pay for this project, they can't run off with your money because it's being held until the project is done and until you sign off on it. On the other hand, you can't say, gimme, they give you work and then you run off without paying because again, to initiate the project, you have to pay. So it's really nice because it protects both parties. Now, if you go through the GHL directory listing, my recommendation is that you should never pay them directly. You should say, hey, do you have a Fiverr? Do you have an Upwork? Go through there because then you are protecting yourself and you're protecting them. So a lot of people don't recognize that. And that's actually a really good talking point. Some people might say, oh, pay me, you can trust me. I always say, listen, I don't know you and you don't know me. So this way, I make sure that I'm not paying too much that you're running off with, and you make sure that I'm not going to screw you over. Even if they tell you, oh, pay half up front. No. It is the safest way that I've seen hands down. And again, I've worked with several agency owners. And again, this is just my advice. So take it with a grain of salt. This is just what I've seen that protects the most amount of people, okay? If you do want to pay them directly, what I recommend is you can use PayPal or you can use Payoneer. So PayPal, everybody knows PayPal, right? Peer-to-peer payment platform, right? That's a lot of P's. Or Payoneer. So if a country, for example, I work with a lot of Pakistanis, one of my favorite countries to work with. If a country like Pakistan does not take PayPal, they might take Payoneer. Some people I've heard use Wise, but those are the two that I've always used. Payoneer is really, really nice too for countries that don't accept PayPal. Just be aware. I'm going to give you some legal advice, some accounting advice, okay? I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an accountant. Go talk with one. That is the start and end. That is the beginning and end. That is start to finish, beginning, end. That is the full extent. That is the long and short of any business when it comes to business advice, when it comes to accounting or legal that I or anybody should be giving you that is not an actual certified board member accountant or attorney, business lawyer, okay? So please be aware of the tax and legal implications. Again, this is why I like going on a project by project basis, because otherwise you may be obligated to additional benefits for that employee that you're not aware of, and I don't want you getting in trouble. So talk to a business lawyer if you are paying them directly, okay? But again, that's another benefit of using Fiverr and Upwork. You pay on a project by project basis. There's no other obligations. Again, please, it's still highlighted, talk to a business lawyer. Anything that I tell you when it comes to being legally safe and protected, talk to a business lawyer. Have I said it enough? Okay, great. Let's move on. Now let's talk about how to actually hire them and how you should fire them. So a lot of people say hire fast or hire slow and fire fast, or maybe hire fast and fire slow, however you want to look at it, right? What I say is hire fast and fire faster. Now, this is where I will probably go against the grain relative to most other coaches in the space. So again, take everything I'm telling you with a grain of salt. This is just what works really well for me and really well for my agencies. When it comes to vetting somebody, the only true indication that you can ever find when it comes to finding their quality is experiencing their work firsthand. I cannot tell you how many times that I've vetted a VA only for them to use a fake resume, to pass somebody else's GHL work off as their own, or even overpromise in terms of we can do all this, or maybe we can do all this in this timeline, and then painfully underdeliver. So let me cover how to manage your VAs so you can understand how to essentially hire them and fire them. Now, again, in the 3.5 years that I've been hiring VAs, this is the exact process that I found most agency owners experience starting out. So starting out, they share the scope, which again are the project details, with the contractor, with the VA. They set expectations on working together. If the VA agrees to the scope and the expectation, the agency owner hires to see how it goes. If the VA does not meet standards or operate within boundaries, the agency owner gets really frustrated and they either take over the work and they go, Alec was wrong, let me fire them and do it myself. If the VA delivers work that the agency owner is unhappy with, then of course they get upset and they blame the VA. This is usually what happens, right? So again, how can we ensure that we bring in VAs properly the first time around? Let's talk about creating and sharing the project scope. The number one issue that I see that agency owners have with VAs is providing the project scope. So many times I see agency owners say, oh, the VA didn't do what I wanted, the contractor didn't do what I wanted. But then when I ask, hey, let me see the directions that you sent over to them, I see fewer words than you would find on a fortune cookie fortune. In case you didn't know, VAs can't read your mind, so you need to give meticulously painful details. Starting out, I would rather you spend 30 minutes on instructions rather than 18 hours on a task. Just because you're bringing VAs in does not mean that you can just go, here's the work, bye. No, starting out, you need to take the time to perfect this process, give nice directions. As you go, you'll be able to deliver those directions much faster. But starting out, take it slow. Do it the right way the first time around. So when I assign work to VAs, this is what I recommend including. Number one, what is the overall task idea? We're building a website. We're building a funnel. We're building automations. We're doing PPC. We're doing SEO. We're doing this and this. Just the overall task idea. Next, under the task idea, breaking it down, everything I want included and anything that I specifically do not want included. So I want this, 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 and this. Here's the brand colors. Here's the images. Here's whatever. Please don't do any of these. Please don't include any of this. Please don't use any of this type of language, vernacular, vocabulary, whatever, right? Don't use any kind of these images, right? Number three, share examples of work that I like or links to other websites or videos of work that I like. Then, after I have this typed up with the links, I'm going to make a Loom video going even further in depth. Here's the description, read it to them. I'm going to include the description. Here's the links. Here's what I like about the links. Here's what I don't like about the links. And then after that, I want to make sure that I give them access to anything they need to complete the project. So I need to add them to my GHL. I need to add them to any domains. I need to add them to any ad campaigns. It's very simple. All you have to do is search how to add member to XYZ. And I have some links in here, okay? And once I have the task idea, a breakdown of everything I want included and don't want included, examples of work or links to work that I like, a Loom video breaking it down, which you can do a free Loom account, so nobody should be telling me it's paid. Free Loom account, keep it under 5 minutes. Access to anything they need to complete the project. I then say, cool, you've seen everything. Do you have any questions before I go? From there, by including all 6, you will reduce any confusion and you will reduce the time spent assigning the work. Because if you just say, here's what I'm trying to build, oh, and here's a revision because I didn't give you, make it painfully, meticulously detailed in the very beginning, okay? From there, I establish boundaries and expectations, okay? Now, if you're using Fiverr or Upwork, they will have fields to fill out that are selected by the VA. So when you go to work with a VA who specializes in PPC and you go to work with them, they may have custom fields already put in place for generic tasks or for specific tasks. Either way, you need to include all of these items as well as any additional items that they may request, right? So how do we set boundaries? Well, when you hire a VA, you need to set boundaries to make sure that the project advances in a timely manner. Basically, there are certain things that you need to do to make sure the project is done on time. This is what I have found in my very limited experience, okay? Again, just because I've been doing this for a little bit does not mean I'm the end all be all. Please take this into consideration when you make your own ideas. Number 1, I require all of my virtual assistants to check in when they start working daily, so that way I know if I can expect a timely response when I shoot them a message. Number 2, I require all of my VAs to send me a short Loom video at the end of their workday so I can see the progress made. Number 3, a point of clarification. I do not care what days VAs work, so long as their work is 100% done by the day I need it by. 100% done means revisions have been made. It does not mean that I'm getting a rough draft. So if I say, hey, the client needs it by this day, I need the work done as soon as possible so we can look over, make revisions, adjust it, and basically give a really, really nice final rough draft to the client so that way it doesn't look halfway done. If the VA lies to me on certain tasks, if the VA does not check in consistently, if the VA starts dodging check-ins, not giving me Loom updates, I will fire them instantly. I'm hiring VAs to make my time more efficient. I'm hiring VAs for peace of mind that work will be done on time. I do not hire VAs to babysit adult, okay? It may sound tough, but I promise you there are so many great VAs out there. You just got to go through the bad ones to find them. There are phenomenal VAs. I have built my company using virtual assistants who are extremely intelligent, and I pay them very, very nicely to keep them happy. If you think this sounds harsh, I'm going to tell you a story that has nothing to do with marketing. It has everything to do with setting boundaries. My wife is a pre-K teacher. She works with little kids, okay? Pre-K. When she first started teaching, she's always been a really great teacher, and she's always listened really well to mentors and older teachers who've given her great advice. Every great pre-K teacher that she's ever been mentored by has always told her the same thing. And we're talking pre-K, okay? We're talking about pre-K. We're talking about 4 and 5-year-olds. They've always told her in the beginning of the school year, you need to set firm boundaries. You want to minimize your smiling. You want to minimize contact with the kids. You want to be very firm because you need to have boundaries in place. A month or two into the school year, you start relaxing your boundaries. And what you will see is that the kids behave, and within the rules that you have set in place, within the boundaries you've set in place, you can have a phenomenal school year where you guys have the best of time. And every year that she's done that, she's had a great year. And there was one year where she didn't do it, and it was the most miserable year she'd ever had. So even with little kids, this works. This is what, if you're a parent, you know this works. This is the same thing with VAs. Set those boundaries firm in the beginning. Then you can relax how you operate and you can have a little bit more fun, okay? Let's keep going. Let's talk project management software. If you just need a place to communicate with your VAs, you can always use Fiverr and Upwork. They have a little chat feature. It's really simple. You can even communicate via WhatsApp. Every non-American is using WhatsApp. Americans, sorry guys, we are the odd ones out when it comes to WhatsApp. We're the weird ones who are not using it, okay? America might be number one in your heart, but when it comes to using WhatsApp, we're way behind. When it comes to managing the project itself, you want to make sure that you are tracking the project status at all times. This is why I have my VAs check in with me and send me a Loom video at the end of the day. If I hear radio silence for 2 weeks, I don't know if the VA died. I don't know if they just abandoned ship. I don't know what's going on. And then 2 weeks in, I have work due tomorrow. Nobody's done it. So now that makes me look bad to the client. So you understand why I need those consistent check-ins, right? If you don't know how far along the project is, how are you supposed to properly manage it? You can't. So this is where I recommend using a free version of a tool called ClickUp. I use ClickUp to this day. I do not pay for it. You can pay for it, but you don't have to. Everything I'm showing you in this video is 100% free, except for the VAs, which I'll show you how to pay with the client's money. Here it is. You can also use Asana. There's Monday. There's a ton of courses, or not courses. I'm sorry. There's a ton of project management software. The reason I like ClickUp is because their free plan has a lot of features. They have more features than most other free plans, and there's they have their own university. So if I click on this, you can watch all these videos for 100% free. Look at all these videos. Massive database of videos that can get you really moving efficiently. So that's why I love ClickUp, because it has all of that already in place. And again, free. Now, how do we use the client's money to pay for VAs? So step one, we need to create and price an offer. So we understand why we need VAs. We understand how to hire and fire VAs. We understand the project management software, and you can go way more in depth on how to use it. Now, how do we actually bring them on board without paying out of pocket? So step one, we need to create and price an offer, okay? Create and price an offer. So I would put together a standard offer with tiers. For each offer, figure out how much it will cost you to fulfill the client's needs from beginning to end, and then multiply that ideally to 4 to 5x. This is the pass that you would price on to the client, and or you would advertise on your funnel landing page. If you want to close clients a little faster, if you're starting out, and I recommend closing a little bit faster, you can drop to 2 to 3x the rate, and you can close the client using what's called a downsell. So, okay, this rate's too high. Well, if we're able to close in the call right now, I can give you this rate, but only if we close in the call right now. Cool, close, right? Again, if you need sales, that's a really nice way to do it. Now, how do we figure out the client rate? Well, we take the scope. So the standard tiers, I cover the standard tiers. If you want a training on it, let me go ahead and link that for you now. It's in step 3 of the free course. Again, that's linked above, or I'll link it right here. I have one that I recommend, and you can basically then go to Fiverr. So let's go to Fiverr, and let's go to GHL. So let's say we have the scope of work. Let's go, okay, I will build high-level funnel websites and agencies. Okay, cool, let's pop this open. So he's saying $50, or I'm sorry, she's saying $50, $85, $190. So 190, let's say 190 is the high end, right? So 190 is the high end. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. Let's go to another one. Let's go, I will build sales funnels landing page. Cool, let's see what their rates are. 50, 100, 250. Okay, so we've got 190 versus 250. Cool. I'm just going on the high end, okay? Let's scroll down. I think he was a little too expensive from what I saw before. Let's go over here. Off the first order. So we've got 40, 175, 405. Okay, getting a little bit more expensive. So we got 190 to 405. I'm pretty sure this guy went all the way up to 1,000. Yeah, 1,000. So we could say between $100 and $1,000, right? So between $100 and $1,000, let's take the median rate. So the median rate, 100 plus 1,000 is 1,100. Divided by 2 gives us about 550. So 550 is your median rate. And again, all I did was I looked at the higher end of things, and I basically took the lower to the higher range, and I took the median level, 550, and now I'm going to multiply that times 2 or 3 to get my bare minimum. So let's do Army math. Let's just round it down to 500 times 3, 1,500 will be your setup fee. Now to get specifics, again, I need to figure out exactly what I'm offering. I need to actually go and get quotes. Now, a little pro tip that I would recommend, if you are strapped for cash or if you really want to sell lower ticket setup fees, go sort by, go newest arrivals. None of these people have reviews. So because they don't have reviews, let's pop this open. It's much cheaper, 30, 150, 185. Much cheaper than 400, than 290, than 1,000, right? They don't have reviews yet. Look at this, starting at 20 bucks, 120, 200. So you're seeing these are trending much, much lower, 20, 80, 150. So you could go here and hire somebody, and because they don't have reviews, they're going to lower their pricing to incentivize you to work with them. So you could start here with somebody with no reviews, a little bit more of a gamble, but at the end of the day, I don't care even if you come over here to people who are higher ranked, it's all a bit of a gamble. So again, hire fast and be prepared to fire as fast, equally as fast. So then, again, figure out what you want to offer, go get your quotes, do your 2 to 5x. So for the 5x, if you're saying 500, your setup fee could be 2,500. And then if like, price is a little bit high, go through the objections handling that I go here, but let's say cash flow truly is the issue. That's where you say, okay, well, instead of 2,500, I could drop to 1,500, 3x, but only if we close right here, right now on this call. If you don't close on the call, that's perfectly fine, but I just can't honor that price. The reason I can honor that price is because it will prevent us from having another call, which will just eat up more of my time, more of your time. So it's a little bit it's a little bonus. I have it in this on how to use it, but that's essentially why you get the range, if you're wondering where the range comes from. Step 2, never start for free. So let's say you close a client, the bare minimum is 50% down. Well, wait a minute. If you are charging, let's say 1,500 or even 1,100, 2x the 550, and you require 50% down, you can take that money and you can pay your VA. Now, again, you haven't profited anything, which is why I recommend not doing 2x and doing closer to 3, 4, 5x, but you can at least take the money and cover your VA. Then once the project's done, you get paid the rest, which becomes, I don't want to say 100% profit because you still have your other expenses, but it goes strictly to you, not the VA, right? So you'd have to explain if they give you pushback, the team needs to be paid as well. You don't do anything for free up front. Whatever your talk off that you want to use is, I basically say I don't get out of bed for this, right? That's basically what I said. Once the client pays you, you then take a portion of the funds, depending on if you did a 2, 3, 4, or 5x, and you would give those funds to the VA, to the contractor. Now, let's say you have a refund, or let's say there's a payment timing, right? If you have refunds built into your process, be aware of when to pay the team to start the job based on whether you pay by project or salary. So here's what I mean. For me, I used to have like a unconditional guarantee. Hey, if you have complete buyer's remorse within 7 days, that's perfectly fine. You can have your money back. And I'd have a 30-day setup. So basically what I would do is I would say I would wait till day 8. So I'd wait 7 days. I wouldn't pay the VA. In case they wanted their money back, I'd say, cool, here's your money back. Once day 8 came and they didn't take advantage of the unconditional guarantee, I'd say, cool, now I'll pay my team. And if you have conditional guarantees, that's why you want to do a 3, 4, 5x, because let's say they're unhappy, you have extra cushion to then make sure that you're abiding by the conditional guarantee. We'll work with you until you do, still got to pay the VA. We'll add this additional thing. That's more work for the VA, right? So again, 3x is why I recommend it being the bare minimum. 2x gets really, really close to, a little too close for comfort, if you will. Next, you want to hire and manage your team. So again, once you have the full scope, yes, you have your offers that we put above for an idea, but once you actually get the client, you can apply what the client wants to the scope for the actual specifics. And that's where you create a very clear, detailed scope to share with the team. Once you give it to the team and that process goes, whether it goes well, not well, whether certain things go well, whether certain things don't go well, regardless, document what went well and what didn't. When you assign work and the VA doesn't give you what you want. This is where I say everybody gets frustrated up above, right? So if there's a problem, always assume that you are the problem first, then address the team unless the team violates expectations. So if the team says, hey, here's the work, and it's not exactly what you wanted, assume that your scope wasn't clear, improve how you do it with the next time, and give them the directions for the revisions. But be patient there, but if the team does not do their check-ins, does not send the Loom videos, does not communicate clearly, that is not you, that is them. As long as you set those expectations. If you don't set those expectations, they're not going to know to uphold them. And if you set them and don't enforce them, that's on you. So let's look at how this maps out. The client, you, and VAs. Do you see this work of art, this Picasso I've created for you guys? Do you see I'm breaking my fingers drawing such beautiful imagery for you? The client pays you a stack of cash. This is you. You pay a portion of that cash to your VAs. Your VAs give you work. The work goes to you. If you like it, you send it to the client. If you don't, you go back and forth until you like it, then it goes to the client. That's how this process works. And again, when you're paying the VAs, this is actually going to Fiverr or Upwork. It's being held there. Then it's released as you guys hand off the work at the same time. So it's really nice. But wait a minute. Couldn't the client cut you out? Couldn't they just go straight here? Couldn't they just cut you out, give them the money, a little bit less money, and get the scope, get the project, get the deliverables on their own? Technically speaking, yeah, they could. So why don't they? Simple. They usually don't know what to do. They don't know what to ask. They don't know how to figure out if they're getting what they paid for. This is usually what happens. And I'll even tell clients on sales calls when they have, when they really want something for super cheap, I'll say, hey, you can go straight to Fiverr, you can go straight to Upwork, you can go straight to these things, and you can build your own team and have them do it for cheap. I don't hide this. This is not something to gatekeep at all. Now, let me be clear. If the client can do all of that on their own and in less time than hiring you, then they should hire the VAs themselves. It's not always about I'm making a quick buck. It's about providing value. If you can save them wasting money and direct them, they're going to be happier with you. By redirecting these type of clients to hiring internally or doing something themselves, you're going to do one of two things. Number one, you will avoid difficult clients. DIY clients are not going to change. So don't try to change them. Instead, just tell them or show them how very quickly. So show them the how as fast as you can and just a little call, hey, go here, there you go, and let them do it on their own. You could even, I do this all the time, you could even charge for a coaching session where you're just walking them through what you would do, and then they are paying less than your done for you fee, and you're making decent money in an hour. I charge between $400 and $2,000 for a coaching call. On the other hand, you may further qualify warm leads. So by potentially pushing someone away for their own benefit, by saying, oh, you can do this on your own, here, go away, clients who want you to do the work are going to see your character and they will understand more deeply if they want you to help them or not. Because done for you clients are done for you clients. So if you're saying, oh, you could go this way, they're going to understand, oh, that's why he's the rate he is. That's why she's the rate she is. Actually, now that she was kind enough to show me, I actually want her to do it because now I trust her even more. I actually trust him even more, right? I have used this very method to close 5K coaching clients, and I closed a 10,200 or 10,197 done for you client using this model, pushing retention systems, right? When you push them away, they're either grateful because you've saved them time and money and they want to do it themselves and they're going to micromanage and that saves you a headache because they're going to be a difficult client. Or they come back to you with even more of a burning desire to work with you. I had a client where I pushed them away. It was 1,600. If you close me in the call, they said no. I said, that's fine. If you come back, I'm just letting you know because at the rate we're growing, it's going to be closer to 10,200. Came back, paid the full rate for the exact same scope. So he came back with more of a desire to work with me. The reason that most clients will want you to do it for them is because they want you to do it faster. They don't know what they're doing exactly. Maybe they don't have the time to handle it, or maybe they just don't have the experience to navigate it. Or maybe it's a combination of those, right? But the more that you handle projects, or the more that you do anything for that matter, the better and faster you become at handling those projects. When it starts to be effortless, when it starts to look effortless, you have now become a professional. That is what will happen as you work with more and more VAs. So next steps, you can do all of this on your own. Sound familiar? No, I'm just kidding. But you can do all this on your own. This is exactly what I did. It took me a few years to get it down, but I got it down. And once I mastered it, within a few months, you guys saw the results. It was really, really cool. If you want to do this a little bit faster, much faster. If you want to do this much faster, you can work directly with me in my private membership and you can get these results and much more, again, much faster. You build your structure faster, your offers faster, your funnels faster, your content faster, your case studies faster. You make more money faster, okay? That is the idea. And again, you don't need me to do this. There's a ton of coaches out there that are really good at what they do. you might be really good at doing on your own. This is an avenue if this kind of content helps and if the way that I explain and teach resonates with you. When you join SASO University, here is what you get. When you join GHL as my affiliate, number one, you can join for 100% free. You don't have to ever pay me a penny out of pocket. I will personally guide you on your business via a one-on-one onboarding call directly with me, and then we drop you into a group coaching environment where we have more calls. You get access to all of my trainings where I go significantly more in depth than I do on YouTube, and I basically hold your hand through the entire process. You also get free website and funnel reviews where you send a link, I will review it, I'll send you a video, I'll send it right back to you. You get immediate access to everything. I don't drip content. I don't do any of that crap to make sure you stay longer. You can see the whole thing. If you like it, stay. If you hate it, go ahead and run away. Perfectly fine as well. We get 90-minute group coaching calls twice a week, every single week. One midday, one later in the day, because I'm in the Eastern time zone. So that way it helps middle of the day, helps for people who have more time during the middle of the day, or maybe overseas. End of day helps with people who have a job obligations. They can hop on a call later in the day, or again, maybe you're so far overseas that is your early morning, right? You learn how to streamline and automate businesses using Six Sigma practices tailored to local service-based businesses and agencies that work with them. We have local SEO courses that drop monthly. We have 7 courses out now. We have more coming. You have full SOPs on how to automate your own agency so you can work less than 3 hours a day, because again, that's exactly what I did to get here. You're going to get agency and industry-specific snapshots that are coming over this summer 2024. Best part, it's free if you sign up using my GHL affiliate link on any level. The 97, the 297, the 497, any level, it is 100% free. If you already have maxed out, or maybe you don't want to use GHL, maybe you use Zoho, maybe you do your own custom builds on WordPress, perfectly fine. It's $97 a month. Cancel absolutely whenever. Either way, no pressure. I want this stuff to help you for free. If you come to me and you say, Alec, I have never paid you a penny, I will never pay you a penny, but your content has helped me make money, that will still make me very, very happy, because I can then take a picture, I can put it on my stories and say, see, even the free stuff is helping you much more than those scam affiliates. So there's a link at the bottom if you want to join the program. And again, if you have any questions, if you want these documents, whatever, reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram. I respond typically very, very quickly. It is almost inhuman how fast I respond. So I appreciate you coming out. If you have any questions, let me know. In the next video, I'm going to cover the staffing structure and hierarchy for you to build out a full VA team to fully exit you from your own agency. And again, this is all going to be free on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.